Today I'm reviewing my 2010 Toyota FJ Cruiser. The FJ Cruiser was first introduced as a concept vehicle at the 2003 Detroit Auto Show as a throwback to the original Toyota FJ40. Well, due to the overwhelmingly positive response that it received, Toyota gave it the green light for production and it hit the US market as a 2007 model. In its first year on the market, it was extremely popular with 56,000 units sold, but by 2009, sales had slid to 12,000 units. After the 2014 model year, Toyota made the decision to discontinue the FJ Cruiser in the US market. During its 10-year run, it only sold 170,000 units. For comparison, in recent years, Toyota sells 130,000 units of the 4Runner every single year. Now, although it's no longer sold in the US market, it is still sold in several other foreign markets. Styling on the FJ Cruiser is definitely a little bit polarizing. There are a lot of people out there that feel that it looks very odd, very quirky. They don't like some of the lines on it, and I'm constantly amazed by how many people I talk to that don't like the look of the FJ Cruiser because I think that it looks so cool. And on that same token, there's definitely a cult-like following for the FJ Cruiser that love the way that it looks. Now, for me personally, I love the combination that we've got going on here. It's got this really rugged, aggressive, outdoorsy off-road look to it. At the same time, it's a little bit retro, paying tribute to that FJ40, but then it also is a very modern, futuristic looking vehicle. So it's got this really cool combination going on, and there's really nothing else out there that looks quite like the FJ Cruiser. Now, starting up here at the front, the primary, tribute to that FJ40 is with this front fascia with the grille headlight design as well as the bumper. It's got a little bit of a retro look to it. It's got the Toyota lettering on the grille, the circular headlights, and this whole grille headlight element is kind of bulging out from the bodywork. Likewise, this front bumper's got that retro look to it. And then you'll see that this model does have an aftermarket grille guard. Likewise, it's got a set of aftermarket side steps. Otherwise, it's pretty much stock. Up here on the hood, it's got a fake air intake, gives it a pretty rugged, aggressive look, but again, would be kind of cool if that was functional. And then we've got a near vertical windshield as well. Now, in order to maximize coverage on this windshield, you'll see they've got 3 windshield wipers, so kind of a unique design cue. Likewise, these mirrors have a pretty cool look to them, and they've got lights integrated to help with visibility. You'll see, looking at the side profile, this is probably where the FJ is most controversial. You'll see, first of all, that we've got a front swinging door here, rear swinging suicide door at the back, and then we've got high strength steel in order to eliminate the need for a pillar in the middle. So it's one large opening. Likewise, you'll see that we've got a nice flush line here at the top of these windows, and then it drops down at the back of this window, and this window is actually sitting a little bit lower. So it does look a little bit odd to some people. Likewise, we've got a really large pillar here. And then of course the two-tone color combination really pulls out these design cues as well and makes them stand out. They did offer the FJ Cruiser in a Trail Teams edition where that is a single color between the roof and body. Personally, I like the white. I think that's part of what gives it kind of that retro look and helps the FJ Cruiser to really stand out. Now, you will see that with this pillar as well as the rear pillar, we've got some pretty good blind spots on the FJ Cruiser. That's certainly one downside of the vehicle. Fortunately, these side mirrors are quite large, so they're pretty good in terms of helping with that visibility. And then likewise on the back, we've got a backup camera integrated here in the spare tire. So that definitely helps with that visibility. On the side here, you'll see you've got plastic fender flares at the front and rear, as well as along the bottom of the vehicle to help with preventing scratches. And then the FJ Cruiser was available with a few different wheel packages, but I feel like these have the most retro look to them, kind of dating back to the original concept vehicle. 6-spoke design, and then it's got these little indents. You'll see that our fender flares have integrated mud flaps at the front and rear. And then up top, we've got a pretty rugged looking roof rack as well. Another really cool design cue with the FJ. Looks a little bit like an aftermarket part. That was an optional feature, so not all FJ Cruisers come standard with the roof rack. And then coming around back, just like we saw at the front, the taillights are kind of bulging out from the bodywork. Gives it a little bit of that retro look, but it also gives it kind of a modern look. And then we've got our rear mounted spare tire. In terms of visibility, you'll see that this rear windshield is also quite small, and that spare tire is blocking about 20% of that view. Down below, we've got a couple reflectors in the bumper. Likewise, this bumper's got kind of that retro look that we saw up front. And you also see we've got parking sensors Those will beep inside the vehicle to notify you if you're about to hit something. So again, helps with that lack of visibility. And then of course we've also got the trailer tow package. Fuel tank is over here on the driver's side, so that's nice if you're located in the US. All around, I love it. I think it's such a cool looking vehicle. I know that the FJ Cruiser is certainly controversial from a styling perspective, and I can see why. It does have some kind of quirky design cues to it, but altogether, I think it comes together really nicely, and I love the fact that it's so unique within this segment. In terms of off-road capability, the FJ Cruiser is very legit. It's body-on-frame construction, and it shares its underpinnings with the Toyota 4Runner and the Lexus GX470. At the front, we've got a 34-degree approach angle, in the middle, a 27.4-degree breakover angle, and at the rear, a 30-degree rear departure angle. The FJ Cruiser has 9.6 inches of ground clearance, and it's designed to ford up to 27.5 inches of standing water. At the front, we've got 8 inches of suspension travel. At the rear, 9 inches of travel, and it's got a solid rear axle. We've also got skid plates under the most vulnerable components of the vehicle, and the FJ Cruiser comes standard with Toyota's A-Track traction control system. Essentially works a little bit like a locking rear differential. If you've got wheel spin on one of your rear wheels, use the system to apply braking to that wheel that's spinning, and it will transfer power to the other side. Likewise, the FJ Cruiser is available with a switch-activated locking rear differential. Oddly enough, the FJ Cruiser was available in rear-wheel drive, and then of course you could get it with a four-wheel drive system as well. They had either a part-time four-wheel drive system or a full-time four-wheel drive system. The FJ Cruiser is offered with the same 4-liter V6 that you get in several other Toyota models from this era, including the Tacoma and the 4Runner. When it first came out, it had single variable valve timing and offered 239 horsepower and 278 pound-feet of torque. But for 2010, it gets dual variable valve timing, and those numbers are revised to 259 horsepower and 270 pound-feet of torque, and we also see improved fuel efficiency. 2011, we also see those numbers increase slightly to 260 horsepower and 271 pound-feet of torque. Now, the FJ Cruiser is available with either rear-wheel drive, part-time four-wheel drive, or a full-time four-wheel drive system. Models equipped with rear-wheel drive are paired to a 5-speed automatic transmission, and in early years you see 17 miles per gallon in the city and 21 miles per gallon on the highway. 2010 highway mileage increases to 22. Models equipped with the part-time four-wheel drive system are also paired to a 5-speed automatic transmission. In early years, we see 15 miles per gallon in the city and 19 miles per gallon on the highway. 2010 and newer, that increases to 17 in the city and 21 on the highway. And then models equipped with the full-time four-wheel drive system are paired exclusively to a 6-speed manual transmission. We see 15 in the city and 18 on the highway in early years. In later years, that increases to 16 in the city and 20 on the highway. 0 to 60 with the FJ Cruiser will take you about 7.5 to 8 seconds, and max tow capacity is 5,000 pounds. Looking inside the FJ Cruiser, you'll see it's got a very attractive interior. It's a nice design that's also very functional. A little bit of a retro look and also very rugged looking. For this price point, it's got good fit and finish and good quality materials, nice accent colors, and a good level of standard options and features. Seats are fairly comfortable, and despite the small opening for this rear door, rear seat's actually not that bad in terms of legroom. I did mention that visibility is not great in the FJ. You can see that with the small windows back here and the large pillars, as well as that rear-mounted spare tire. This model comes pretty heavily loaded. It's got power windows, power door locks, power mirrors. Got audio controls on the steering wheel, which is also leather wrapped. Instrument cluster's got a nice attractive look with the white gauges. Up on the dash here, we've got a little storage compartment. Nice placement. Some gauges up here on the dash as well, compass, temperature gauge, and then we've got our inclometer. Below that, a couple of vents, clock here in the middle, audio system below that with AM, FM radio, satellite radio, CD player, and auxiliary connection. Hazard lights, heated rear windshield. Below that, we've got climate control, which is single zone with heat and air conditioning. Below that, we can turn off traction control. This is for the locking rear differential, 8-track traction control system, turning the subwoofer on and off. We've got a power inverter in the rear, so we use this to activate that. And we've also got parking sensors, so you can turn those on and off. 12-volt outlet on this side, as well as auxiliary connection. Shifter for the 4-wheel drive system, cup holder, gear shifter, armrests on both of the front seats, another cup holder, and a little storage compartment with an organizer. Up above, we've got a self-dimming rear view mirror. Also has an integrated backup camera over on this side. You also see that we get dual visors, front visor as well as a side visor. It's because our windshield's quite far out in front, just because of the design of the vehicle. This rear seat, you'll see we've got cup holders integrated at the top and bottom. And then these seats also drop down in a 60-40 split. Further increases that rear cargo area, and likewise they easily go back up into place. Another unique feature on the FJ is that you'll see that underneath these floor mats, plastic, makes it easy to clean out the FJ if you get a lot of mud and dirt inside. Coming around back with the key, insert in the key slot here and twist to the right. That pops open this window, allowing us to put things into the back without opening the whole rear door. Really handy if you've got the vehicle stuffed full with things and you don't want them all to fall out. Likewise, we can close that. And then we've got a handle down below here to open up this rear door. Swings from the driver's side. And you'll see that cargo space is quite good back here. Again, we can also drop down those rear seats in that 60-40 split to further increase this. Subwoofer integrated over here on the right-hand side. And then down below, power outlet, 400 watts when the vehicle's running. And then over on the driver's side, another little compartment with our jack, space for a few other small things. The FJ Cruiser has a really cool vibe to it inside. It almost feels a little bit like a fortress. You've got these really short windows in this vertical dimension, small windows in the back. Certainly they're not great for visibility, but in terms of just the experience driving the vehicle, it's got a really cool feel. On top of that, these gauges that we've got here on the dash and just the overall look of this dashboard, it has this really rugged feel to it and gives you this impression that it could do anything. And the FJ Cruiser isn't just about appearances. I already went over some of the various things that make it off-road capable, but Toyota actually claimed when this came out that it was the most off-road capable vehicle within their lineup, which is saying a lot when you've got vehicles like the Tacoma, the 4Runner, the Land Cruiser, the Tundra to contend with. I mean, that's really saying a lot about what this can do. And I've had an opportunity to drive it on some pretty cool roads already in the short time that I've had it, and I've been very impressed with the capability. For reference, I do have a Tacoma and a 4Runner, so I've got a pretty high standard as it is. Whether it's more capable than those two, we'll see over time. I haven't really had an opportunity to fully test it out just yet, but it certainly has the numbers to be very capable. One of the great things about the FJ Cruiser is that although it's very capable in terms of off-road driving ability, it's still fairly nice to drive on paved roads as well. Given what it is, I feel like it's very smooth, it's comfortable, the handling is decent, and it's fairly powerful as well. For comparison, one of my brothers has a Land Rover Defender and a Jeep Wrangler, and both vehicles are likewise very capable off-road, maybe even more so than what you get with the FJ. But as a result, you make some serious sacrifices when it comes to driving on paved roads. They both offer a very rough ride, a lot of wind noise, a lot of road noise. They're not especially comfortable. They feel a little bit underpowered. And, you know, as much as they're very capable off-road, in some ways I feel like those downsides aren't really worth it unless you're using those vehicles specifically for off-road driving only. The reality is that most people still need a vehicle that is going to be good for that daily commute, that's good for driving in town, or even if you're going on a longer trip, you know, doing some overlanding, you're probably going to be spending a good amount of time on highways to get to where you're going. And so it's nice to have a vehicle that's good for that paved driving, but likewise very capable when it comes to driving off-road. So all around, the FJ Cruiser is a great vehicle to drive. I love the fact that the cabin's got a very unique vibe to it, super capable off-road, and then when it comes to driving on asphalt, it still has some pretty good manners. So there you go, that's a look at the Toyota FJ Cruiser. I think it is such a shame that this isn't sold in the United States anymore. I guess we had our chance. It was on the market for 10 years and they only sold 170,000 units, so it's kind of our own fault. But one could hope that because they're still producing it in some other foreign markets, then maybe at some point we'll see a second generation. We'll keep our fingers crossed for that. If you have any comments or questions on the FJ Cruiser, leave those in the section below. This is my personal vehicle, and so there will be plenty more FJ Cruiser videos to come. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see more FJ Cruiser videos. In the meantime, thanks for watching.